is blowing in the wind because the fan is on because it's hot and I don't have air conditioning. If this is your first time here, or if you just started following me this year, don't have AC, and yes, so you're going to hear a little fan noise. Aside from that, this is what we're here for. The Hourglass Veil Hydrating Skin Tint Foundation. This comes in 1.2 ounces, which is 0.2 more than your standard foundation, which comes in 1 ounce, and it is 18 shades. I have shade number 7. We'll talk about the shades a little bit later, but let's talk about what this is, and then we'll talk about my skin, and then we'll do a 3-day wear test. In those wear tests, we will try creams on top, we will try powder products on top, like bronzer and blush, and we will do it without powdering the face first. And I don't think this time I actually did it at all with powdering the face first, but I can't remember. So let's talk about what it is. A lightweight skin tint that boosts moisture levels by up to 52% for a dewy glow and provides a sheer veil of coverage for comfortable all-day wear. Coverage is light, finish is radiant. Highlighted ingredients are Metafoam seed oil, which replenishes with nourishing fatty acids to strengthen skin's moisture barrier. Hyaluronic acid attracts water to plump the skin with hydration, and plant-based squalene, which protects against moisture loss to help retain skin's natural radiance. And through the ingredients, I'm just going to name some things that are standing out to me. The third ingredient is glycerin, which I prefer to hyaluronic acid. Dr. Shireen Address to you. has said that certain molecular weights of hyaluronic acid can be irritating to sensitive skins, to skins with rosacea. So I haven't stopped using anything with hyaluronic acid, but I think about it a little bit more, and I like that it's lower down on the list after the halfway point, and glycerin is, third, which is pretty good. They also have propandiol, shea butter extract, lecithin, and tocopherol. And these are all wonderful, wonderful products. Now, before we do anything else, we need to talk a little bit about my skin, because you need to know how relevant what I'm saying will be to you. I am 60 years old, which is not a skin type. It is indicative of being on this planet for a long time, and as such I've been exposed to a lot of sun. My skin is aging, right? So I have lines and wrinkles. I'm not producing as much hyaluronic acid, collagen, all the good stuff that keep your skin looking lifted and plump. Not so much, but I put those on my face for my skincare. I'm going to post right here my most recent morning skincare routine so you can take a look. Sometimes people ask me. And I always put sunscreen on before my makeup every single day so I don't get any more sun damage. Let's talk a little bit about my preferences. I don't like matte that much, I gotta tell you. This is kind of matte for me, but it's not super matte, and it's only matte because I put a lot of powder on it with a powder puff. And I did that today because I used a different sunscreen today, which left everything a little bit loosey-goosey. It felt like it wasn't going to set, and it was super, super shiny. So I did pound on the powder a little bit more than usual, but good for you because you can see how many different finishes you can get from this. It depends on your starting point, but it is 100%. This is glowy. This is glowy. My skin's on the dry side, but it's not dry and flaky. And I think that's about it. Let's go ahead with day 1. So the first day I thought I would shoot this MOS without any sound, and I did. I wanted to show you what the consistency looked like, but I couldn't see as I was squirting it out on my hand. The amount that I squirted on my hand was probably a week's worth of application. But as you can see, it is a little bit runny. It has some movement to it, but at the same time, there's some thickness to it. There's some viscosity. Okay, so I thought this was going to be thicker. I just tried it yesterday very, very quickly, and I thought, oh, it's a little bit thick, but it has a runniness, and I dispersed way too much, which is a bummer. It is hot today, and I need to put the fan on, but it has a feeling that is a little bit heavy, even though it's runny, and I'm a little concerned that it may not set. It feels like It kind of feels like the Kosas sunscreen, really kind of pulling a little yellow right now. It does look yellow in my mirror, but on my monitor it looks a little bit more yellow. And that is something that's going on, not with my camera, but I have a clothesline out here. And I use it as a giant bounce, so I have a white Turkish towel hanging up on that, and the light bounces off of that and comes back in. But when the wind blows, it goes away, and it kind of does something to the color here. So I'm going to go into the other room for maybe 10 minutes and see how this sets up. Okay, it's been a few minutes, but not too long, and it's actually drying down. So it's not completely dry to the touch, but good enough for us to consider moving on a little bit. I'm going to use the Dior concealer because it's a little too yellow for me, and I may as well match. Concealer that's fuller coverage, you need to use a foundation that's fuller coverage, or it can look a little bit weird. And I think I'm going to run into that problem with this because the foundation isn't full coverage or even a medium coverage, but it is more coverage than I thought it might be. And then again, I put on more than I should have. Now it's very shiny, and I have a feeling that part of this is my sunscreen. I started very shiny. This needs to be, I think, remedied with some powder, and then tomorrow I'll use a different sunscreen. I find also when you powder, you can see the color a little bit better because there's no reflection. It feels very comforting on the skin, like it's a cushiness on my skin that I do not mind at all. But I do feel that, I think in the winter, when it's really cold, maybe very windy, it will feel like it's a barrier between me and the elements. The powder took really, really nice. I definitely need to do a little bit more, but I first want to do a little cream blush. I'm going to go in with the Clé de Peau, which is my very favorite cream blush. It is just a perfection, but I haven't worn it in a while. So it's not entirely set, and I feel like I need to kind of do this, or I'm going to, I don't know, make a little bit of a mess. And a little bit more powder in some areas that I didn't do well. Okay, so first of all, you can see the color is a little bit different. It's just the lighting thing I have going on over here. And it's not as yellow, but when I look at my arms, I just feel that it's too warm for me. So tomorrow, we're going to use less product. I think I probably used 2 or 3 times more than I should have. That was really a bad move, but I think if I use less, I'll for sure get less coverage, but also less tint. And I feel like, honestly, you guys, more coverage than I thought it would be, because I think I saw somewhere somebody or something, you know, maybe it was something I read, they said barely any coverage, and I was thinking that it might be similar to the Jones Road in its coverage, or similar to the Jane Iredale newest foundation product, which is hardly any coverage. This more coverage, which means it's buildable, where the Jane Iredale you could put more and more and more on, but you're not going to get more coverage. And this one is kind of like a light medium coverage. So I'm a little bit surprised by that. And it feels, like I said, like a cushy barrier on my skin. Now I get hot, I'm a sweaty Betty, and I don't know that I'm going to love this throughout the summer, but I feel like fall, winter, spring, where it's not 90 degrees plus, I might enjoy it quite a bit. So we're going to see how this works today. I'm going to take Grace out for a hike tonight after it cools down, but when I say cool down, it'll be like 85, woohoo, and we'll see how it wears in the heat. It's not very humid today, but it's not dry as a bone either. So we'll get a good idea of how it wears in summer weather, and then we'll go on tomorrow with some powder products and use less product. I think it's going very well with this concealer, so that's nice. And gosh, I kind of like it. I really wasn't expecting to. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Welcome to day 2. Before we get into it, let's talk about day 1. I put on too much product. I put it on around 11:30, and at 2 o'clock I noticed that I had some creasing right through here. Now I didn't notice it just looking in the mirror. I looked at a magnifying mirror and I went like this and saw a little creasing. I tapped on it, and that was the only time I got creasing. It didn't come back. Later that night, I think it was maybe 8:30 to 9:30 or so, or even later, I took Grace out for a walk. It was hot. I got sweaty and came back, and I didn't see anything looking strange. It probably faded throughout the day, but I didn't see part of my face gone or something melted off. So even though it's a tint and the texture doesn't make me think, oh, this is going to be on forever, it was on forever, really, and I did sweat in it. So that's pretty good. So this time we are going to try it again with a little less product, and I still want to do it with my fingers. I don't think I would like this texture with a beauty blender, and that's how much. And I do feel that the shade's a little too warm for me. Now, this is a warm shade because in the light medium range, your choices are warm and cool. And the picture on the site didn't look that warm. And I thought maybe this will work because my Jones Road is a little bit warm, and that's fine. And I do have a warm skin tone. It's just most companies, I've said this before, their warms are too warm. So now what I'm just putting on, probably how much is meant to put on, and I still have a lot left. It is more like a tint. I still have a lot of shine. I would say I'm not getting very much coverage. Of course, because of the shine, we can't really see what's going on until it's powdered. And again, I'm going to go in with the Dior. I love the way this wore, and it really laid so pretty on the skin. It didn't crease. It simply looked like skin. No creasing, no weirdness. I mean, a little troughing, but that's to be expected. So I'm going to wait for a few minutes, and then I'm going to do something in front of the camera that I did after I finished shooting the other day, and that is I went on with some powder blush, even though I didn't powder the face, and it worked. It was really interesting. So I'll be back in maybe 10 minutes. Normally, by the way, after I put on my foundation, I go to eyes. I just do my eye makeup while everything sets up. So this would be very normal for me to have about 10 minutes to let it set up. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes and it still has the heavy feeling to it. To describe it to you, it's not exactly like, but similar to the Charlotte Tilbury or the IT Cosmetics. And it feels actually comforting. It doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel like it's making me more hot, which is something I really, really don't like. We will have to powder it, but first let's do a little bit of blush. Again, the Clé de Peau. Just blends in so easy. It's my favorite cream blush, and I have a lot of cream blushes. And now I'm going to go over with a little bit of a powder blush, even though I haven't powdered my face yet. And I'm going to be ginger with it, so this is the Valentino, and I'll put the colors down below. And it's interesting that I am not having a problem with the powder. When I say ginger, I just didn't pick up a lot, but there's no skipping or strangeness. We're going to go on with some of the Sept bronzer, same brush, but I did wipe it off a little bit. And just a little bit of something. And that works too. It's so interesting. And this is the By Terry powder. Look how just, I have a little bit of troughing. Not bad at all with this Dior. So I'm just powdering everything but the cheekbones, and I'll leave those kind of shiny. And I also noticed, and I've mentioned this before, it's really hard to tell if the color is working for you when it's super shiny, because the light bounces off and it plays games with your eyes and how you're perceiving something. But now that I have mattified to some extent, I'm looking around here, my neck, and I'm thinking this color actually surprisingly is going to work for me when I apply it in a sheer manner. The pores where I powdered, I'm going to bring you up. I don't have huge pores, it's true, but right here where there's powder, it's like poreless. Really pretty. Forehead also really, really pretty. And I'm pleasantly surprised. I wasn't sure how this was going to work out for me, but I'm kind of digging it. And it doesn't look makeup-y to me. This is the kind of thing that I want on a day-to-day basis where I'm perfected, but I don't look makeup-y. A nice little turn of events. So we are going to do one more application tomorrow, and I'll tell you what happened today, day 2, and coming right back at you for day 3. Welcome to day 3. So yesterday I did go for a long hike around 8 o'clock at night, and I absolutely sweat. I did some sweating. And I think, you know, when you're sweating and you do this to kind of get rid of the sweat, you're going to lose some of your coverage. The good news is it doesn't really have a lot of coverage. So I thought actually it was comfortable, it looked pretty, there were no problems yesterday at all. So we're going to do the third and final day. I felt that the outcome yesterday was so much better just using a little bit of product, and we're going to do the same thing again today. They say on their website that you can apply with fingers or one of their brushes or with a beauty blender, but I'm just going to do the fingers. Now instead of concealer, I'm really going to go for a more no makeup look, and I'm going to go in with this. This is the Ole Hendrickson, and I know NARS just came out with the product, and I saw someone using it the other day, and I thought, I mean, this is kind of similar. It doesn't have the coverage that the NARS does, but do you see the difference that made for me? It just helps for no makeup look because it's not too much under the eyes. I'm going to go in with the Bloom Effects, the cream that I just got recently that is for lip and cheek. It's a pretty bright little peony kind of color. Why not? A little bit on my lip. And now once again, I went on with some powder products. This time I used my Sept bronzer, and I did not powder my face first. I wanted to see if there were any problems with skipping, you know, like gathering up where you see a little bit of darkness here and then you see nothing over here. And I was surprised how nicely they worked without powdering my face first. Now I was thinking maybe I'll show you another way you could work with this product, which is do a little concealer in areas where you want a little bit more coverage, but now that I put on the blush and the bronzer, I just don't feel the need for it. Maybe right here and right here. So I'm going to go in with the Dior again. So I'm going to pick it up with the Hot and Flashy brush and just do such a featherweight application, hopefully. And if it's too much, I will just go in with a little beauty blender and work that. And now that I've done that, I think, okay, well there's a couple of more areas I would like to get. Right up here. It's getting serious now. I'm thinking, oh, while I'm there. I'm not even going to powder today. I feel like it's not too shiny. I feel that it is youthful and pretty. I did fill in my brows, so that helps a lot. But it doesn't look incredibly makeup-y. All right. I'm going to change and go over my thoughts. And that is my 3-day wear test. I'm wearing it today as well, which is several days later. And I think I wore it yesterday and the day before. I've been wearing it a lot, so it's a thumbs up. Before we go through everything they're saying and running down who I think this might be good for, I have to say a little anecdote for you. I went to the grocery store. I went to Whole Foods on Saturday after I shot the 3rd day. And I was hit on. I was hit on it wasn't like, is he flirting or not? It was 100% flirting from a 39-year-old man. So does that make me feel like I think I'm going to keep this? Yeah, it does. Did that just cheer me up beyond belief? So let's go through again what they're saying. They're saying that it is dewy and provides sheer veil of coverage. I would say yes. Yes. It is comfortable. Yes. All day wear. Yes. Light coverage. Yes. Radiant. Yes. Is it sweat proof? I don't know if I would say that it's sweat proof. I have had it on for several hours, and then I was doing some editing, and then I thought, let me come in here and shoot this because it seems like it's getting cooler, but I'm still sweating a little bit. So it's not like the face and body products. It's not, but it's very, very hot today. In this room, it's probably 100 degrees. So I'm just saying, I think for summer, it's going to work for me. But if I want something that is absolutely going to stay, I'm going to go with MAC Face and Body or the Dior Face and Body. Who would like something like this? Today, I did it like the third day where I put it all over the face and then I did some concealer where I have some darkness and some redness. I feel like the coverage is very similar to the Jones Road, which I also love. But I know there are people out there who do not love this, and for those people, they might love this. I know when I got this, I thought, well, online at least, I thought, well, this is really yellow. But looking at it now, it's not. It's quite neutral. And the Hourglass is kind of yellow. It is. They don't have a neutral shade in light medium, which I just don't understand. If we're a shade match, I think you'll be okay with this too. If you put a lot on, you're going to get very yellow looking though. Another thing that I would compare it to is that Jane Iredale foundation, the new one, which is just a little bit of a tint. And again, with that one, it makes your skin look so, so beautiful, but it has less coverage than this one. So if you like that idea, but you want a little bit more coverage, yes. It's not like it in any other way. However, they're just both sheer tints. So for me, this is a thumbs up. I really like it. It's absolutely comfortable. It feels also comforting because there's a bit of a thickness, a cushiness to it, kind of like the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin. I just like the way this feels. I like the way I can work with it. I'm so, so surprised that I can go on with my bronzer or with my powder bronzer and my powder blush without powdering the face first, without any dragging, skipping, or pulling. And it stays all day long. It really does. It may fade a little bit. I mean, I can't tell. The light is different. It's dark. But when I wash my face, it's coming off of the sink, so I know it's still there. So you guys, that is my review of this new product. I hope it was helpful to you. I appreciate your time. I hope you come back again. And until we meet again, be safe and smart.